Recording. Testing. Yeah, it's recording. Okay. Okay, welcome to That's Good Craic with me, Dan, Colin,
Oh yeah.
and Mick.
Yo.
This podcast introducing three dry lads. So, starting off, I suppose, with Mick. What kind of brought you? Why are you here? Why are you on this podcast?
I'm on this podcast because Colin asked me to come on this podcast. But
This is a very good reason.
yeah, no, it's Colin, as you are, friends of mine a long time, and we just kind of noticed, anecdotally, that there seems to be an awful lot more people choosing to live life drug and alcohol free, and we have all lived drug and alcohol free for a long time now, and Colin first kind of came up with an idea. He was like, what if we did a podcast and kind of share our experience of the challenges and the benefits of the life choice that we've decided to have. And and I was just on board with it. It's something that's a big part of my life, and I'm interested to learn from you and other people on it.
Cool. And Colin, kind of what kind of possessed you to come up? Because obviously you're the instigator of this idea, and instigator, trying to think of a better word to put, but you came up with the idea. What brought you to the situation that you wanted to do the podcast? Like,
See, I knew it was a good idea that Danny led this. He's great at it, isn't he?
I chanced my arm.
Just what Mick said. I over the years, I've just noticed more and more people just becoming more aware of kind of health and well-being, and just knocking drink on the head for a while. Because even, like when we were growing up in Ireland, the idea of not drinking was absolutely mental, and now it's kind of like it's becoming a very popular thing, So I was looking around for other podcasts based on this, and I couldn't really find anything I could relate to as such. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to get a few of us together and, like you said, share experience, get to know more people. That's it, really.
Yeah, when you came to me with the idea, I was like, that's deadly, like, do you know what I mean? Because for one thing, like, I remember when I, made that decision to kind of stop, I was like, all right, so my life ends now, you know what I mean? I was thinking, like, there's going to be nothing enjoyable. I actually thought my life was now going to be sitting at home watching the Late Show with my mom knitting or something, do you know what I mean? And not thinking that there was anything to do after. And that's it, like what you said, like, drinking and fun, in Irish society seem to go hand in hand, and without drinking, it seems like you can't have any fun. And that's what I grew up with, anyways. You know what I mean? It was the God-given right was to drink in Ireland. For me.
Yeah, no, same, man. It's like that time when it came to the point of knocking everything on the head at 23 years of age. It was like, okay, what do I do now? You know what I mean? It was like absolute insanity, the idea of actually, doing that. And people used to look at you like there was something wrong, and still now today, it's not as bad as it was, but it's still, when you tell people you don't drink, they're like, oh, what do you do?
How do you enjoy your life, like?
Well, what do you do? Mick, what do you do?
What do I do? I spend most of my evenings coming up with a plan to take over the world. But other than that, I work for myself. I'm self-employed, have a partner, a long-term partner, and she doesn't drink either. And, I have two kids, 17 and 20. So, I have hobbies, gym, jiu-jitsu, and anything else that comes up, I like going to gigs, I play music myself, so a full life, and it keeps on getting more full, just keep on, learning and experiencing and evolving, and that's my philosophy.
It is kind of funny that you say that, because like I find, just take the three of us for example, three of us don't drink a long time. Between 12 to 19 years, and like, look at the amount of shit that we have going on. Especially Danny over there, Look at the amount of stuff we have. But even over the past 5 years, the amount of stuff that I've experienced, and I never would have done it. Never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Never would have traveled all over the world. Never would have done it, you know. Never would have got to like the education, different types of education, got to explore the different creative aspects of my personality, you know, got to discover art, all that. I was so wrapped up in, you know, oh, it's Friday, let's go, you know what I mean? Go to the pub, someone's born, you go to the pub, someone dies, you go to the pub, you know what I mean? Someone's celebrating something, you go to the pub. As you know, Mick, on building sites, it's raining, okay, let's go to the pub, you know? So it was just kind of every single part of it. But when you remove that go to the pub part from my life, you know, it just over time opened my eyes to so much more things, you know, where the weekend kind of became irrelevant as such. It wasn't such a big emphasis. And yeah, like Mick was saying about picking up different hobbies, you know, all sorts with martial arts. The three of us do that, you know. So it is fun, but it's funny Mick touched on the relationship side of it, you know, and in recovery, or you know, not drinking, all that kind of stuff, and then going out and trying to meet girls and all that kind of stuff. I remember living in London, where a guy, my mate, asked me, "Oh, that girl over there was asking about you. She wanted to know, would you take her for a drink?" And I told her that she didn't drink, so she said, "Oh, fuck that."
And I've had that, you know, if I've had people say to you, like, when you've gone, like, oh, I don't drink. I've had women actually say, well, I don't actually trust you because you don't drink. You're like, what? You don't trust me? And they look at you like you're some sort of alien that you wouldn't drink, you know? And it is a kind of, it's a moment where you're kind of standing going, well, where do I go with this? Like, do you know what I mean? Where do I go with this conversation?
To be honest, when I did drink, I didn't trust people that didn't drink, really, you know. Not that I didn't trust them, you know. I couldn't really relate. I just felt a little uncomfortable in their presence. So I kind of get that, you know, like in a way. And it's you know, I'm a lot more comfortable in myself now. I don't like actively look for people's acceptance. That's a big thing for me, you know. Whereas subconsciously, that's what I used to do. And when I stopped drinking first, when I'd walk into a room, subconsciously I wanted those people to accept me. I didn't understand this, and I wonder why I felt so uncomfortable in social situations and all this. It was so new. But, you know, becoming aware of that stuff again, you know, through trying to learn about myself, you know, things I never would have done if I have kept drinking, you know what I mean? And but I look forward to hearing from other people. It's like, you know, if this continues and, you know, we get input from other people, maybe have other people ring in and, you know, ask questions, you know, maybe it's they're starting their journey, and to see, have we any experience that we can pass on to them? You know what I mean? But things like that are big, you know, like Colin, you were talking about, and Danny, like experiences with, like, you know, dating girls, and, you know, but just general like social situations, like being invited to a wedding, like, you know what I mean? An Irish wedding
Absolute nightmare.
on the dry, you know. But still, it can be done, you know what I mean? It can be done, and it can be done, and you can enjoy it, you know. And but, you know, I just see it as things like that where, you know, if there are people out there that this gets to, and you're thinking about starting the journey, or you have started the journey, and you have some questions or some experience around it, you know, I really look forward to that, you know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have people, like, you know, if people out there want to ask questions like that, or, you know, exactly that, like, how do your first date go, or, you know, even your first job interview. You remember your first job interview, and you're like, you know, and you're learning about yourself, and or just different experiences in life that are new. And it was just something that Colin was saying there that interested me. That was like, yeah, when I stopped drinking, it was like I actually thought, what am I going to do now? Like, and I just thought, there's nothing to do. Like, do you know what I mean? And now, as Colin said as well, it's like my life is so full. Like, I'm actually looking for hours. You
There's
know what
not
I mean?
enough
Looking
hours.
for extra hours. Yeah.
There's not enough hours in the day. Yeah.
Sleep has become an inconvenience.
Yeah.
But it's true, like with especially what you said, Mick, about the wedding thing, you know. Oh my God, I remember the first time being invited to a wedding, man. I was like, I'd been not drinking for maybe a year, you know, and all the questions, and that stupid fucking question every time. will you have a Lucasade?
And some potato.
I don't even know when Lucasade became a thing. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's about. You know what I mean? Will you have a Lucasade? I remember the first time at the first wedding that I went to, it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable, you know. It was a very uncomfortable situation. But I just realized that I actually don't like going to weddings. You know, I really just don't like it. It was
But
the
the
same.
music's great.
No, not really. Try getting invited. Try getting invited to a Polish wedding and not drinking.
Oh, I've been to one, man. Been to a Polish wedding, and it's like you don't drink, and then you know it's because it's vodka, and you know that it's like just vodka. Everyone's having vodka, and they go to you. So I said I don't drink. And go, so you have a beer then? No, I don't drink. You'll have a glass of wine. It's like, no, I don't drink alcohol. Like, you know, but you'll have a beer, and it's like, what part of, like, you know what I mean? You don't understand it, like, you know, Nostrovia.
Nostrovia, yeah. It was
But even at that, like, you know, but like learning that it's okay to leave situations. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
That was a big one for me. I actually didn't realize when I started going to these events at the start. I was like, you know what I mean? Wait a minute, I'm an adult. You know what I mean? If I choose to leave this room at this minute, no one here has the right, like, you know, to keep me here. I don't, like, you know. So if I'm uncomfortable, I can leave. I can go outside for a bit, or I can totally leave. But like, this was a big thing for me and made these things bearable. When I knew I had an out, it was like, you know, I'm comfortable until I'm not comfortable anymore. You know, for me, it's like there are certain people that, like, you know, in my family and that I'm very comfortable around, no matter how much alcohol they consume, pretty much. But like, generally speaking, if it gets to a certain level of intoxication, you know what I mean, I'm like, I'm out, you know. And it's like, you know,
midnight.
And but like, then I can go. I've been lucky enough going to weddings, and there've been people there that I know that don't drink alcohol as well. Like uncles, I've aunts that don't, you know, and you know, and I'll gravitate towards them as the night kind of goes on. But like, that for me was a big one. Was learning that it's okay to leave these things. I have gone. I have, like, you know what I mean. I've been social. I've had a good time. I've got up. I've had a bit of a boogie, and you know, and it's okay to leave.
Well, even speaking about the bit of boogie thing, right? How fucking much of a stress was that? You know, like back in the day. Now, not now. I couldn't give a fuck. No, I'd actually get out. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But actually allow myself to get up and do that without alcohol in me was horrendous. You know.
But like, I would have had my first experience of trying that, actually. Like, you know what I mean? Myself and yourself calling that an event, and the music was playing.
And a 90s rave.
Yeah, we were standing at the edge of the dance floor. And I often say there was a brass strip around the edge of the dance floor, and it might as well have been the Alps. Across that brass surround on the dance floor was like I was going to cross the Alps, like, you know what I mean? It was that big of a deal, like, you know. But I think we've lost Mr.
It is, but it's just when you realize that nobody actually gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody cares, you know.
You're not that important.
No, but I remember realizing that, like, no one actually cares, and I'm actually not a bad dancer as well, you know. So
I look like a baby giraffe on the dance floor, but I don't mind.
You look like a baby giraffe off the dance floor as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm shaking those hips like I'm hustling for dollar bills. You know?
You're taller than a baby giraffe.
You should see me rolling around doing jits, man.
Yeah.
Baby giraffe trying to get up off the ground. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, yeah, big thing, like that first dance, like, and I think for the first 2 years of not drinking, I kind of avoided a lot of those situations because I actually personally didn't know how to be in those situations. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to. I didn't know myself well enough to feel confident in those situations. So once I started to find out a bit about myself and feel a bit of confidence, then I started going out, and then I got into obviously DJing. So DJing was a great place for me because literally I was behind a DJ box. I was still part of the whole event, but I was in the kind of safe, you know, in the box, safe, enjoying the buzz of what's going on, and then I didn't have to dance. I just played the music, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, because that was kind of my experience with a lot of it as well. Like, you know, I put a lot of pressure on myself at the start of like trying to do what everyone else was doing. You know, like, okay, so I'm not drinking, but I'm still going to go to the club, you know? And I was just doing it, you know? I didn't really want to be there a lot of the time. But I always had what Mick said. I always had that thing where it's like, okay, I don't want to be here. I'm just going to go, you know? But what really got me comfortable, I suppose, was the fact that I'm involved in digital media and video and events and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up at lots of different raves all over Ireland and all videoing them, and it did become my comfort zone. And it kind of allowed me to just be comfortable there, you know. But even go back a few years ago when I lived in London, like DJing in clubs in London and just going out and having a good time, discovering true deep house over there, you know, and actually really enjoying the music. And I remember people offering me drugs all the time, people offering me alcohol all the time. And I was lucky that I got to a place in my life where I knew that would have made my experience worse.
Yeah.
You know, I was really fucking enjoying the process and the way I felt at these things and being able to dance, getting out and dancing for hours and hours and loving it, you know. Whereas when I was drinking and drugs, I'd need to drink lots and take lots of drugs or whatever in order to make myself have enough confidence to get out and do what I was doing sober, you know. Yeah, man. So it's kind of funny when you look at the progress over the course of years, you know.
Do you remember your first, guys? Do you remember your first concert, like sober? Do you remember like going to and just experiencing those big speakers and like who was your first concert sober, like?
The Rolling Stones in Slane.
Wow.
That was
unreal, man.
And it was with you know, a group of friends, family and friends, and very early days. And yeah, it was like, it was very unusual, like, you know what I mean. It was surreal at times, and when, like, you know, people started to, you know, get intoxicated, started, you know, there was some arguments started and things like that. And but before I'd went, you know what I mean, I'd set it up with a friend of mine who didn't drink as well, and I was like, listen, mate, it could come to a stage where I might have to ring you just to check in, you know, to clear me head. And that's what I did. I went away at one stage, things were getting kind of heavy and that, and I was like, people were trying to involve me in stuff that, like, I didn't want to get involved in. And I was just like, yeah, I just walk over here. Slane's a very big place, and I am an adult. I've been around the block. I can make my way around this place. You know what I mean? I don't actually need to be joined at the hip with these people. And that's what I did. I just went off, had a chat with me mate, had a buzz around, and you know, just did it and came back, and things had settled down. I was just like, yeah, let's rock out to some of the Stones. You know what I mean? That was my first experience.
Mine is not even half as cool as that, and it's going to sound absolutely shocking because I'm even embarrassed by it now, but it was where it was at.
The Spice Girls.
No, that would have been cool, man. Oh, James Blunt.
You left happy, so.
Hey, listen, I think I was grieving at the time.
All right.
I think I was going through a grieving process. What was yours, Danny?
You went to the right concert. I'll never forget it, to be honest with you. And it was just that, like, I made, you know, well, I went to see Moby for the first time. It was my first concert, and I just remember just like I'm feeling so real, you know, that, and just the sound of the bass coming through the speakers, and you could just feel it, like, and it was just, honest to God, and I was just like, this is better than anything I've ever experienced drinking. You know what I mean? And like, or on drugs. It was like just a real feeling, and I remember it, like, and I just that the warm sound coming from those speakers, like, and I, you know, from then on, I really started falling in love with hearing, you know, big sound. You know what I mean? And when I was DJing, I loved, you know, driving the speakers, you know, and just getting that big, deep bass, you know what I mean, and feeling it in your body, and I preferred it way more than any time when I was back drinking, you know what I mean, and I really that kind of started the love for really going to gigs and DJing and that. To be honest with you, now I kind of would only go to a gig if I knew they were, a big group or something like that, because I've kind of got to a stage where I've kind of clubbed myself out of it. I've done all the clubbing and I've really enjoyed it, and now I'm kind of enjoying other things. But yeah, Moby was unreal, man. Like, such an experience, like such an amazing experience. And I like what Mick was saying as well, as the concept of being an adult, and I was really thinking about what you were saying. I was thinking, when I started experiencing things in life, I was really at the start experiencing them like I was a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I really was like, I felt like someone should be minding me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I felt like I'd gone back to, like, a lot of the fears started coming up about being in social situations, because I felt like I wasn't a grown up. You know what I mean? And I like the way you said you've come to a stage where you're a grown up. And for me, I was always told, always have an exit plan. You know what I mean? Have a car there or something that you can leave when you just don't feel like you'd want to be there anymore. But yeah, it's just interesting listening to you guys about that as well. Like, yeah, so
But I think even what you're saying, my thing, like, was I started a gig, I started playing music in a band and started going into pubs. So I would have been going out that way most weekends, and but I think what's important for me is the fact that now I know that, like, I mightn't choose to go out clubbing regularly, I mightn't choose to go out to pubs regularly, but I can. Like, you know what I mean? It's not so, like, I feel perfectly okay with walking into a bar, walking into a club, walking into a restaurant, walking into wherever, like, that, there can be, like, well, for me, like you talked about, was so new, having, like, always had alcohol involved in my social situations, that when it was taken from it, it was like, right, this is really new. And that, when I was saying, I was actually going through the mental process I did, where I had to remind myself, I was like, hold on a minute, you're an adult. You know what I mean? Because I didn't feel that way. You know what I mean? I was kind of, and just to remind myself, to go, hold on, it's okay. Like, you mean, you can actually, remove yourself from this, go get your head together and come back. There's no problem. So, but just like, I think what's good to say is that by pushing through a lot of stuff, doing it in a healthy way, having that exit plan, like, getting your head around what you're doing, like, taking control of the situation, because you can, like, for me, it was easy to kind of back off these things, because they did bring up a bit of anxiety, you know what I mean? They were new, especially new without any alcohol, and it's like, but by doing it, and getting your own head around how to do it, for me, it just means now I can go where I want. I may not choose to do that, but I know I can do it, and I can be okay.
Okay, so I just want to jump in there and just say that the James Blunt concert was fucking brilliant. Go any further?
Yeah,
and I loved it.
We were trying to do you a favor by just blurring over that.
No,
You've jumped back in.
I don't care. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. It was really good. But what I took from what you said, Mick, was like, you can do anything you want now. You can go to a bar again. I can do the same. It's no problem. But what's the key to it is patience. I suppose that was the key for me. It's just to take a step back. It's just patience, And I always try to say that to people in that situation. So I might be trying to take a little break from it or whatever. It's just have some patience with it, There's no rush in going bars and clubs, man. To be honest with you, when I've been removed from them for so long, that when I see them, I just see monotony a lot of the time,
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over again, and I don't have an issue with it, but for me, who I really enjoy new experiences, that thing that way doesn't suit me, but I really enjoy new experiences and trying new stuff, whether that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or whether it's Muay Thai, or whether it's rock climbing or whatever, or whether it's, traveling the world or anything, or doing a course, or it's that I just find that allows me or has allowed me and give me the capability of, achieving more and looking for more from life than just I remember going into work on a Monday morning already talking about where you're going Friday night, after been out all weekend. Like that was a long time ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. So yeah, patience, man, patience. It seems this whole thing now is kind of developed into a whole going out thing, isn't it?
No, well, like for me, it's like I'm trying to think about like who's going to be listening to this and what they want to hear, and it's like my personal where I'm at now. 12 years clean and 12 years sober, and I'm going right. This is where my life is now. But like for people that are starting out on this journey, these are the things that they're going to want to do. Like what I mean, people are going to want they're going to want to go to events. They're going to want to go to a pub and a club at some stage. You know what I mean? They will go through that journey and find their own time of like, I mean, whether it's for them or not. But all I'm trying to do is kind of say, well, listen, this is how I got my head around doing it. Like in a way, and just to give some insights into, what I did to kind of make it doable.
Yeah, and I think after, like, I agree with that, because I mean last night I was sitting down with a lad. He's a little bit older than I was when I gave up the drink and drugs, and it was like literally that conversation, like, and I talking to him. I've been talking to him about my experiences, like we're talking now about going out to clubs and stuff like that. And honestly, as I said to him, I says I don't think he's ready for that yet. You know what I mean? I think he needs time to feel, in the right place, or go with people, like-minded people, to those places. You know what I mean? But for me, in the early stages, I was like, it took for me the guts of 2 years to kind of. I was 20 when I came in. It was gave up the drink, and it was like and drugs, and I was like, it was about 3 months before my 21st birthday, and and my 21st birthday was a very interesting experience, but we won't go into that. But it was kind of, I tried to do the clubbing thing because, like Colin said, it was like everyone else was doing it, and at that age, I felt like if I didn't do it, I was a weirdo. Do you know what I mean? And then I tried to do it, and I realized actually I can't do this. I can't. Because I had a persona that I portrayed when I went to clubs before that, and when I went to the clubs, I couldn't figure out who to be in those situations, and I felt like a lost little boy in the club, and I just needed to kind of stay, as you guys said, take a step back and be patient and wait until I kind of felt that I was in a place where I was confident. And I think it kind of started, going to a few of those 90s dance events, and basically, stepping out there and, yeah, really feeling like the world was going to swallow me up, you know what I mean? But like anything that I've experienced since I gave up drink and drugs, is like, if I try it and it's going to be uncomfortable the first time, it's going to be uncomfortable. But if I try it again and I keep trying, eventually it becomes like a natural thing that I feel okay with, because, I have to step through that fear. As you guys know, like, do you know what I mean? Once you step through the fear, you start to learn, like, you know what I mean? And you feel
it is an identity issue, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt.
It's a huge identity issue. It's a huge, like, trying to reinvent yourself, I suppose. And it's kind of it depends on the angle, it depends on each person, like where you're coming from with it, I suppose. Not everyone would have as a dramatic, I suppose, break into sober life as maybe we do, I know mine was quite dramatic anyway, in the sense that, like, what, sorry, go on, Mick.
No, and I suppose it's just important to say that, like, that if someone has an issue with and they're, like, with drink or drugs, and they're trying to get away from them, like, and trying to get, and it's early days, pubs and clubs is not the place to be,
Absolutely not.
I like, maybe I suppose some of the insights that, like I was saying, was it's further down the line, you're kind of settled into it, or if it's a thing where it's just a lifestyle choice that you're making, you know what I mean? If that's the case and it's not that big a deal for you, you know what I mean? It's just, feeling a little uncomfortable maybe in those situations. But as I say again, it's early days and it's an issue, it's a problem in your life that you're trying to address, you know what I mean? Definitely pubs and clubs is not the place to be, generally speaking.
What's that statistic you told us about earlier, Mick? That was quite an interesting stat for our beautiful little country of Ireland.
Yeah, it was like 19% of I just looked it up, and 19% of people in Ireland now class themselves as non-drinkers. And
okay, I'm going to jump in on that one just quickly because I love the way you said it there, that class themselves as not drinkers. So many times, whether it's went on dates or met people, met friends, whatever, it's like, no. I'd say, no, they'd ask me to go for a drink. I'd say, no, I don't drink or whatever. It's not really my thing. And they go, oh, I don't really drink either, or I don't drink either, which is a very definitive answer. And then I'd say, okay. Well, like, I might drink one night a week or that,
But yeah, I often got like this, and it's been a regular thing with me. I don't know if you guys have ever had it, where you say to someone, "Yeah, I don't drink," and then you get the explanation as to how much they drink, and like I don't know how to explain it, but like literally you're sitting and you go, well, I don't drink, and they exactly kind of what you were saying. I don't drink, but I'd have a drink on this time, and then almost like there's this need to explain to you they're drinking because you don't drink. I don't know if you've ever had that.
Well, I think we had that conversation before, Mick, where people are actually very more uncomfortable in our presence because we don't drink than we are in their presence because they drink. People kind of.
No, I just think that people immediately get defensive about it. It's like when people say they're a vegetarian, and you can see people getting defensive if they're eating a steak. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, you know what I mean? And it's like when I say, I don't drink alcohol, immediately people are like, you know what I mean? I only I only drink beer. It's like. As quickly as possible, I get across to them and saying, "Listen, I don't care. Like you do what you do what you want to do. Just once it doesn't affect me, I really don't care. You know what I mean? More power to you. It's not a moral issue with me. It's not anything like that. It was just something I had to do. I felt, for my life to get better. You know what I mean? If it it wasn't enhancing my life in any way. It was making it significantly worse. And so I decided to stop, and thank God I was able to, and it's worked out really well. But I just think people get uncomfortable, and I think like there are stats like they say like 54% of Irish people are classed as problem drinkers, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, so maybe sometimes when you say you don't drink, people get defensive in a way about like maybe it's holding up a mirror in some way. Like, I'm not trying to do that, but maybe it does. I don't know. But definitely that's not what I'm looking to do with this. You know what I mean? It's like a very personal choice for anyone what they want to do around it, but it's just to put it out there that there is a life to be had, being substance free, and
interesting question. The 50, was it 19% that you said that class themselves as not non-drinkers?
Yeah.
So what year is that statistic? I'd love to know what it was, say 20 years ago. Has it grown, or has it have things changed? I don't know. In the last 10 years or 20 years, has there been an increase in people who aren't drinking?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely know that the situation with the alcohol abuse is definitely getting worse. Like, I mean, year on year it gets worse, and like with young people and all that type of stuff. But I actually don't know. I don't know about like the non-drinkers. Have they increased? I actually don't know, to be honest with you.
It's kind of I like what you said there, Mike. Is like I stopped to make my life better. And that's what happens, man. Your life gets better.
Yeah.
Not in everyone's situation, of course. Like, everyone has an issue with alcohol. But I just find I hear a little bit of feedback over there. Is someone on speaker?
No, mine's the same as it was at the start.
Yeah, no, same.
Okay, all good. Sorry. So no, that's what I was saying. Not everyone has issues with it, like, but there is this weird limbo with alcohol, like, and drugs in Irish society, where it's not that bad that you would call yourself having a problem, but it's not actually. It, it's making your life unbalanced, you know. I found that with lots of people I know over the years, where it's like, it's not that bad where you're drinking every single day, and that's what people class as alcoholics. Well, I don't do this, well, I don't do that, but there is a certain element of society. It's kind of a limbo where, and it's hard to get out of that cycle more so than if you actually have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't think everyone that give, like, when they say problem drinkers, they're not saying like obviously alcoholics for everyone. They can mean it'll be a smaller percentage. Just it's just drinking to a level where it is detrimental to your life. I see it like, for me, drinking drugs, if they are being used by, like, what I mean, it should be like a spice in your life, that kind of way. It's a little topping, you know what I mean? It's not your life. It's not like and when it becomes your life, or it's the meal, it's not the spice on top, you know what I mean? It's like, then it becomes an issue. It does have serious consequences, not only to you, but for people around you. And again, just to bring it back to a positive thing, you know what I mean? It's like, it can well, it definitely felt like it to me, and like Danny alluded to it as well, and you were kind of saying it as well, Colin. Like, when you're kind of come to that decision of going, listen, like, I have to have a look at this. This is not working out, and like, I really did not think that it was going to go well. I didn't think my life was going to get better. I just said something had to change, and thankfully, by doing that, it did get better. But yeah, just to put out there that for whatever reasons that it's done, like, you know what I mean, life can get better, and it's
Yeah, I'd be on that as well. It's interesting because I was the same conversation I was having yesterday evening, and I was literally, you know, um, one of the things was the guy said to me, I just don't, I just want to, not drink and do drugs anymore, and and be okay. You know what I mean? And the first thing I said was, well, that's the bare minimum. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell you, if you choose this road of not drinking and drugging, that is the bare minimum of what you're going to get. And that what I've had over the years is just fantastic. So many, I mean, I'm not saying that, life is, bed of roses, but what I'm saying is, over the years, I've had so many amazing experiences that I can look back on and say, wow, I was so glad that I wasn't drinking at that moment in time. I was so glad that I got to experience that. And I was like, that's the bare minimum. If you choose this road that you're going to experience, you're going to have an amazing journey. And I can't tell you what that journey is, but the journey is going to be interesting, and full of adventures if you choose this road. And for me, that's what it's been about, like, really honestly. And I like what Colin was saying as well, is there's so much more that the monotony of clubs and pubs. And yeah, I had to take part in that for a while and see what it was all about and experiencing it, and it was part of my experience. But also I found so many more enjoyable things outside of that. Do you know what I mean? That were just, life-changing experiences, like, really, really life-changing experiences.
yeah. So what you call it? You'll be editing this anyway, will you?
Yeah.
No.
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 Why are you trying to do now, Mick?
To make myself sound cooler. No?
This is an honest podcast, man. Let's just throw it all out there.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I was just looking at the time, that's all, and I was going, right, what you call it?
Yeah, no. It's probably we're coming up to an hour now, anyway.
It's 38 minutes at the moment, lads.
Oh,
absolute Jesus, lads.
So I'm thinking, I don't know what you think, 45 minutes podcast. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we can go at that.
So, I mean, one of the things, I've completely lost track of what I was going to say to you there. I was going to ask you a question, but I've completely forgot. So, Colin, maybe you've got some interesting question to ask. Or
I have so many interesting questions to ask. Yeah, I just don't know where to start. No. But it's like what we brushed on today, I suppose. I like the way it organically just went about the clubs and the bars and the drinking, and because that was a huge fucking thing. And when you stop caring about it, it just lifted it. But Danny, what you were saying there about, just giving up, that guy just wanted to not drink and take drugs, and you were saying that's the bare minimum, that life will be amazing. And it is. Like, I've had such an amazing 12 years, but there's been some struggles in there too, and to be honest with you, I used to turn around and say, oh, I'd probably be better if I was drinking, it'd probably make things easier. But then I actually remember chatting to a guy one day who drinks all the time. It wasn't a drinking problem, but when he broke up with a girl, or whenever he was going through shit, he didn't drink because it realized it just made everything a million times worse.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and you can kind of romanticize these ideas that you're missing out on something, whatever. I'm literally not missing anything. Not missing absolutely anything. And it's just getting to that place where you're comfortable in yourself and finding that identity. Okay, what's my purpose in this world? Like, is it like work, the sports, whatever it may be, and it's been a mad journey, like over the past 12 years. And I'm sure there's like more crazy shit to come along.
One of the things I was just, the kind of question and thought came back to me, and one of the things, like, obviously we've all traveled, and for anyone listening, I've lived more or less for the last 8 years on the Canary Islands.
Is that how long you're there? Yeah.
Yeah, about 2 years in Lanzarote, and I had a break of about 8 months. Went back to Ireland, and then I've been in Tenerife now 6 years. And like, for me, one of the things that when I came here that I loved about here was it's a very outdoor culture, and it's a very, it's not geared as much around. I mean, they like to party, but you don't see the same kind of partying that goes on in Ireland that I've seen. Yes, you see it in certain parts, but it's normally in the parts that the Irish and the British would be.
Standard.
And and then you go to the kind of parties that would be locals, and there's not that kind of, I'm not saying that, because this crosses all borders and countries, but one of the things that kind of I wanted to ask was, and that I've noticed coming back to Ireland more, is, there's a big culture of sports, gym, and I've noticed coming back to Ireland more and more people cycling, more people getting involved in sports, more activity around. Because when I was growing up, it was like, literally, there wasn't even a swimming pool nearby. Do you know what I mean? We had to go to Enniskillen for a swimming pool. You know what I mean? And now when I go back, there's lots of gyms, there's lots of things open. And have you seen like that evolve over the last few years, like the change in that kind of the draw towards a more healthy lifestyle and moving away from alcohol? Like?
Massively. Like, whether people are moving away from alcohol, like, it's like the people, like, self-care has increased massively, like, and sports, cycling, martial arts, gyms, as you say, swimming pools, yoga, any of these things, like, they're just blowing up. Definitely people just, when they get, that's why I'm hearing more and more with people involved in these things, like whether it be in yoga, the gym, that are just parents, you're talking to parents, like people I went to school with, and they're just like, I can't hack not being, like, the next day or the next couple of days and not being able to do anything with the kids. People are getting their training from marathons, and they're just, they just realize that it's such a detrimental effect on their body, consuming drugs or alcohol, that they're just cutting it out of it. It is a big part of it. That's one of the big parts of it that's happened recently. I see that people, just as a lifestyle choice, with their health, that when they start taking care of themselves, they actually realize, like, the impact that having binge drinking or whatever is having on their body.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's I've noticed that a lot, especially when people get to 30. That hangover lasts for 3 days. Like, I know some friends of mine, girls and that literally cannot move the next day after night drinking. It's almost like self-harming, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fear.
The fear, yeah. But no, I've noticed it too, especially with sports as well. You know, even you go to the gym. Now in my gym, when I go there, there's like 16-year-olds in there, then there's 60-year-olds there. You know, it's all ages. There was no even gym when I was growing up. It was pure nonsense. Like, yeah. And to see that progress over the years, definitely 100%. And you've lots of running groups now. I don't know, Mick, if you see it over where you're from.
Of course, yeah.
People out on the streets running, you know, whether it's training for marathons or just out for fun.
And
because you cannot beat how you feel after sports. It beats any fucking feeling I've ever got off any drug. You know what I mean? Any alcohol. How great I feel after training of some kind, you know. It's just, yeah, it's all positive vibes, you know. There's no negativity to it until you destroy your shin splints or snap your hamstring. You know?
Yeah.
That's just an age thing, though, isn't it?
I'm young. I'm trying to go.
I mean, age thing. It can also, you know, people who abuse substances can also like have some obsessive tendencies, you know.
I don't have any of those whatsoever. I don't
I
like
assume you're speaking for yourself, yeah, mate.
But like, you know, I think a lot of the time, like, you know what I mean, that even, you know, they can become obsessed about, you know, in quotes, like positive stuff as easily as they can with the negative stuff, like, you know what I mean. So, you know, they get into sports and it's just like 7 days a week.
Well, I can actually say that when I was a little bit overweight before and I went out running one night and I lost a few pounds through water, obviously leaving my body. So I decided I was going to run 50 kilometers a week. And it worked. I lost 10 kilos in 4 weeks through my obsessive tendencies.
That's it.
Yeah, so that's it. Well, I suppose we're coming close to the end here, are we?
Yeah, I think just as an introduction, it's just to kind of lay out where we're coming from with it. It's still a very new thing, and just to kind of open it up to other people's input. And you know, and if anyone has any questions, you know, that's what I'd really like to hear. You know, I'd like to give us a chance to share our experience and to learn some stuff from other people too.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great to hear some questions. People, particularly people at the start of this journey, you know what I mean, that, you know, are, you know, experiencing their first nightclub or date or whatever it is. If they want to hear, you know, a little bit about what we've experienced in those situations, we'd be glad to talk about it. I'm actually more than happy, because I'm sure we have plenty of interesting and funny experiences.
Yeah, and also I think we should throw a woman into the mix there on this for the sake of fairness and balance at some stage. I think it'd be an interesting perspective. Maybe we can have a few guests. Maybe we should have guests on this actually as well. It might be quite cool, no?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
So yeah,
you can get us on email. You can get us on email at 3drylads@gmail.com.
I like that. I didn't know we had that email address, but I'm sure we will.
I hope it's not taken.
I'm sure 3drylads21416@gmail.com.
Someone's going to be getting emails going, what are they
Okay, no, so let's wrap it up there. But three as in letter three or number three, or are we going to go THREE?
Number three, drylads@gmail.com.
Okay, so 3 as in the number 3?
Yes.
No, let's make it easier for people. THREE.
That's easier?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's easier to type 3. And I struggle with saying 3, so I'd say type. So for all you listeners out there listening to our show, it's 3, the number 3, drylads@gmail.com. And if it happens that's already taken and someone's receiving those emails, we'd officially like to take this moment to apologize for receiving those emails.
I'm apologizing for nothing. What a weird email to have, you know.
Actually, I like it. That's quite a valid point, Mick. What a fucking weird email for some fella to have 3 dry lads. I don't know. I feel like there's some kind of sexual innuendo there, but I don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
The guy who has that email address, we've already called the police. Just to let
You fucking weirdo. Right.
oh, he's there. Delete right now.
Yeah, I really hope there's editing software on this, so you know what I mean. They can.
No, there's no editing. It's going straight off the cup. Hey, listen, it's been great crack. Or sorry, that doesn't.
That's good crack.
That's good crack. That's
so.
Good.
As we said, if there's any questions, send them through to 3 dry lads. And this has been That's Good Crack, and we look forward to the next show. Peace out. And goodbye from me, Colin.
Goodbye from Colin.
And goodbye from them.
All
6 personalities, is it?
I really think that Danny has done a marvellous job here today. Can we just take a second just to appreciate what he done? I knew those radio years experience would come in handy, Danny.
I forgot to press record though.
Did you really?
No.
Oh my God.
All right. Good luck, boys.
All right, good luck.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.